how many you forgot, and me, oh God, for one.
A Certain Kind of Monster is a no-budget short horror film in which a young runaway by the name of Beth is rescued from a rainstorm by a passerby by the name of Ben. Now, Ben, he actually talks Beth into coming home with him for the night to wait out the passing storm. And he comes across as maybe a bit of a shady character with some ulterior motives, perhaps.
But despite these ulterior motives and despite the risk, Beth actually opens up to Ben. And what we learn is that she's got a lot of internal demons. And as the story plays out, we realize that those internal demons are actually literal demons, and they seem to manifest themselves as a literal monster.
In a pretty vicious way.
She just kind of she gives up the fight. She gives up and she surrenders to this internal demon that she's been battling and lets it consume her, and in the end, Ben. She's kind of just giving in to her own desires and wanting to do what she wants to do, but in the end, she hates herself for it.
This becomes the inciting incident for what we are proposing, which is a 7-part miniseries that expands upon Beth's story, her mythology, and aims to address a lot of the questions that we raise in the short film.
Do you mind if I ask what you're running away from? Who you're running away from?
Myself, more than anyone, I guess.
Got news for you, Beth. Can't really outrun yourself.
Now, the original Certain Kind of Monster short was shot on a shoestring budget.
I wouldn't even say it qualifies as a shoestring budget. I mean, it was a pretty measly amount of money.
Well, it was shot for about $700, $400 of which was used on one prop.
Yeah, so for all intents and purposes, we were operating on a $300 budget to create this actually pretty ambitious little horror film.
Well, and what this means is that, none of our actors were paid, none of the crew that stayed to ungodly hours in the middle of the night were paid.
No one made a cent for the movie. It was really just a handful of borderline psychos who were devoting themselves to bringing this idea to the screen. Despite the limitations that we had, we've come up with something that really stands proudly alongside more kind of bigger budget counterparts.
And we're pretty proud of this because we've put our blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Yeah, mostly blood.
But we're telling a story this time that is bigger in breadth.
Yeah. The series is a lot, even much more ambitious than the short.
But if we could pull what you've seen here off for $700, just think what we could do for $10,000. With this miniseries, we don't want to pull any punches.
Absolutely not.
We even want to show you things you wouldn't see in other places.
And deal with subject matter that I think a lot of mainstream cinema wouldn't go anywhere near with a 10-foot pole. I mean, it's going to be a really visceral, no-holds-barred experience, but it's also much more than that.
I admire Beth's strength of character. She has a hard time staying true to herself and letting people in, but it takes just an incredible amount of courage to keep doing what Beth does. And we get into that a little bit more later, but it just her as an individual person just comes across as just having just an unmatchable amount of strength just buried deep inside her.
So what's your story, Beth?
Well, let's just say my story is a long one.
We want to tell a story with strong characterization and a strong character arc, with real emotion.
We want to make something that you could really get invested in. We really want to pose a lot of questions to the audience to really keep them thinking about the events of the film long after it's ended.
But we want to scare you.
That's the most important thing. We really want to scare you. And to effectively scare you, we need your help.
You know what to do.